Hi, Marnie. When my son was a bub, I think you meant baby, or maybe you call him a bub, my mother would say, "I love you" to my son. I never got any "I love yous." I did get profanities from her directed at me instead. I don't think I was jealous, but I was pissed off inside and felt like she was competing with me regarding loving my son. I didn't like it at all since I never heard those words come out of her mouth for anyone. My mother destroyed my spirit as a child, and it continued as an adult. I will leave this planet estranged from the woman that birthed me. She is only my mother in name, and that's all. Thanks for sharing your story. It makes me feel like I am not alone in this experience of having a horrific mother. Sending you love. I'm sending you love back, Miss Bruna Taylor. I thank you for leaving this comment. It actually got me thinking, and this is what I love about sharing my story. It brings back memories, which I shouldn't love, right? But I do. It brings back memories and gives me more perspective on things that I hadn't thought about before. Like, for example, when I would share my story about how my mother dropped me out of a 2-story window, breaking my arms. In the process, I walked away with 2 broken arms. It literally never occurred to me that she was trying to unalive me. It never occurred to me that she would think that I would walk away with 2 broken arms instead of, ending up in a casket, or as my mother loves to do to the dead people around her, cremate. And I'm Jewish. That's not a thing in our religion, right? So, and I say right for anyone out there that's Jewish, you know that that's not a thing that we do. Traditionally, we don't cremate. All this to be said, I was like, oh. My mother told me that she loved me in specific moments for specific reasons. When my stepfather passed away, I know that she's responsible for that death, for sure. She hid me from the police. They never had access to talk to me. Had they, that investigation would have looked quite different. I have all the documents around that, so I know exactly what went on that day outside of what I witnessed. Anywho, when my mother brought some guy in within a couple of months after my father's death, it was like 3 o'clock in the morning, brought him into my bedroom, woke me up, and was introducing me to this guy, Dave, who, well, they both smelled like alcohol. I loved when my mother drank, by the way, because she would be somewhat affectionate or softer. She was a happy drunk. She wasn't drunk that often. Pills were her choice. Like, pills were the thing she did. Smoking hash, smoking weed. Like, my eldest daughter told me the last time she went to my mother's house, which was pre-legalization of marijuana. I don't know if, is hash legal? I have no idea. I've never done anything with hash, so I don't know. Anyway, my daughter had been there maybe, I don't know. It's been over a decade since my daughter was in her house, but around a decade ago, let's just, put it there. There was pot in her freezer, and I grew up like that, so I didn't know that wasn't normal. Just like I didn't know having pills in crystal ashtrays, like uppers and downers, like they were candy. I didn't know that wasn't normal either. I also didn't know it wasn't normal to have a mother who told you that you were damaged goods and never say "I love you," or rarely. So getting back to the topic at hand, the "I love yous." So that night, or early morning, she comes in with this guy, Dave. He's got chains and medallions. I mean, okay, it was 1978. Shirt open down to wherever. I am sweating right now, by the way, and not because I'm telling this story, but because if I put the air conditioner on, I'm in Europe, I'm in the Canary Islands, it drowns me out, so I'm kind of stuck here, but I really wanted to make this video. Anywho, and introduces him to me, showing me, I don't know, like showing her, whatever, like looking like a loving mother, which, by the way, I never saw him again, so he must have gotten a clue that that's not what a loving mother does. And I knew he wasn't going to be around because I met my stepfathers after she married them. I woke up in the morning and he was gone. in front of him, I love you, and she did the thing, and she called me Shayna Pudd'em, which is what my grandmother used to call me, and it was just a whole thing. And then I went back to sleep and thought nothing of it other than, ooh, that felt good. Literally, I remember thinking that and feeling that. The next time she told me she loved me was after I was sent back home by CPS, by social services. I was 17 years old. I had been gone since I was 13 years old. I ran away from home for the bajillionth time, and this time it stuck. So I ended up living on the streets from 13 to about 14 and a half, got my first apartment, got my first apartment. I know, it's crazy. And at 17, I was pregnant, alone, and, well, I say alone, I was living with some people that Christian Services put me with, and that's a whole nother ball of wax. And when I had my baby, I didn't want to not have my name on her birth certificate. So the whole time I was gone, I created an alias. I quickly recognized that I was going to get sent back home if people knew who I was. So I had an alias. When my daughter was born, I was like, this is not a good idea. Social services came in, and there was kind of this veiled threat of, well, you know, you don't have anyone or anything. And even though the people that I was staying with from Christian Services would have and had offered to keep me with them, it was a social worker trying to find a way to find out who I was, where I came from, and the whole 9 yards. So she sent me back home. I get to my aunt's house, and my mother is there waiting for me. Everybody is there, and it isn't for me. I don't know how that would have rolled out, in fairness. My brother had gotten engaged, and it was his engagement party weekends coming up. Talk about timing. And my mother embraces me. I love you. I missed you, for the audience. And then, of course, every single person that had an opportunity to do so told me, how could you do this to the family? You've aged everyone. Everybody was so worried about you. How could you do this to your grandfather, who, by the way, was emming me? How could you do this to your mother? You don't know what she went through. And not one person in that family system said, hey, how are you doing? How did you survive? Are you okay? And if there were some questions about survival, it was in a way that was like, how'd you survive? You know what I mean? And I knew well enough not to give information that they would weaponize against me. And I was also deeply wrapped in shame at that point in time. So that was another time she told me she loved me. Anywhoosie, I know I say that a lot. I ended up walking away from my relationship with her when I was around 22, 23 years old. She wrote me a letter, and somewhere in there she told me she loved me. And it was kind of like, I love you, but it wasn't really like, I love you, I miss you. It was, I only want the best for you, but we're just people and we struggle to survive. Like everything. I'm not going to be a part of your blaming process, but I love you. I'm not going to help you, but I love you. You know, that sort of thing. And the last time that she told me she loved me, she missed me and asked me if I wanted a relationship with her. I had been no contact for 17 years. And that's what she did. She embraced me. That was another thing. Rarely did that. She embraced me that time. She embraced me when I came home, was sent home by social services. Yep. That's all I got on the times that I was hugged by my mother. It's just, it's just crazy to think about how all the moments of love or affection can be counted on one hand and not even make it through all of the fingers. Like, that's insane. And by contrast, showing me she's capable, watching her with my little girl, hugging, kissing, cooing, nicknames, I love yous, I missed you, all of it, like pouring out of her, while my little baby son looked on and got none of it. They pick and choose who they elevate and who they don't. They pick and choose who they use those actions with and who they don't. And they do that based on how it's going to benefit them to have control over the people that they want and to have those people in place working for their love. Those are all the words I have around that. I guess I feel a little bit angry right now, and frustrated at the people who don't understand why certain people just don't deserve relationships with their children and their grandchildren. That having the title mother, to your point, in title only, does not entitle a person to a relationship. It comes with a duty of care, a responsibility, an unwritten contract. And when you violate that contract, the contract is null and void. Thank you for sharing your comment. I think it's so important for us to talk about these things and talk them through. And you may not know this, but you just provided me with another layer of healing. My having such deep feelings around the things that were brought to the surface, that's about healing. It's, people go, oh, I triggered you or whatever. I'm good with being triggered. When I have deep emotions around something and I'm able to talk about it and verbalize it and put it in context, it's done. It's released. And that's why I encourage people to share their story. Whether you do so in therapy, you do it the way that I'm doing it, or you journal about it, whatever it is, share your story. Share your experiences. Talk about your experiences. Put them down somewhere so that you're processing them. Because the more we process the things that have hurt us, the less power they have and the healthier we are, and the more recognition we have that we are lovable and there was nothing wrong with us. This is how we heal, not just our big person who's right here, right now, but that inner child who was completely unrecognized, invisible, not taken care of. This is how we find our way to love that little girl or little boy that's inside of us. So I thank you so much for this comment and for this extra layer of healing that your comment has provided for me. I'll see you soon. And if there's anything that you want me to create videos around, drop it in the comments section and I will do so. Thank you so much.